2016 Jeep Grand Cherokee, and we're going to tear it apart. So we got a new stereo. That's the instructions it came with. That's better than nothing. Some of it is in English, so that's a plus. And we use the same color codes in USA than China. But we might have to get our Google Translate out to explain what this wire is, for example. But most of this is plug and play. There's no splicing involved. Just everything appears to plug in. We're going to have to take the knobs off the climate control and feed it through this little mounting bracket. And then the screen clips into that. What do you think that says? That's Chinese. Wait, peel? I think that says peel. So on the back side of this, just nice wire harnesses that snap right in. So that seems pretty easy. Number one is the main power. That looks like the main harness from the Jeep will plug into that. Oh wait, it's Chinese on one side and camera on the other. I didn't realize that. Some harnesses for the climate control, I imagine. This is Chinese. I imagine this is the CAN bus to retain the circuitry. This I'm unsure of. It looks like it plugs into this harness here on the right. That one in the CAN bus. This main harness appears to plug into the main power. This is all the preamps. We don't have a sound system, just the factory sound system, but maybe later on you can hook up amplifiers. Probably going to do a drop-down monitor in the back eventually, and there's some connections for that. I don't know what this is, CVBS in. That might have something to do with camera. All right, number 2, 8-pin for CAN box. Oh, that's what I already plugged in. Radio antenna, 10-pin for camera. So this must be for the reverse camera. That plugs in to the top left corner of the wiring harness. And I believe that's going to be something that I'm going to have to figure out, the triggers to tap into the reverse circuitry. So when we put it in reverse, the input on the tablet changes to the reverse camera. 4-pin USB and 6-pin USB, they go into the center of the harness. What is there, 4 wires? That must be the 4-pin. So in the top center of the 2 USBs, there's a microphone. It's got to be one of these guys. And I'm probably just going to run that wire out by the brake and gas pedal and deal with that later. We'll end up tucking it up underneath the dash and putting it up in the, I don't know, somewhere in the dash where you can talk on the phone. And then the other one is the GPS antenna. I'll probably plug that in, but just string it out by the passenger's feet. And again, later on, tuck that up, get it up onto the dash for a nice signal. This is the only thing I don't know what it is. This looks like it mounts just by the factory retaining pins. I imagine we have to take the clips off the bezel of the, I don't know, the factory bezel and put them onto this, and then this mounts the entire monitor. And again, this climate control should just snap right in, but this is kind of free floating, so I bet this might be some kind of mount to stabilize. I think this is where we're going to start. We're going to start with the climate control and get it mounted, and then this will just snap into it when we're done. Okay, so here's the factory stereo that it comes with on the Jeep Laredo, and I knew I was going to tear it out before I even bought the car, so I wasn't worried about the small screen or anything. I can already tell somebody's had a sound system in here. This looks like a gain control for subwoofer. Looks like a couple 9/32 bolts down here and up top.
Everything for your home. Plus, Friday and Saturday, you'll receive an instant discount equal to sales tax on purchases of $5.99 or more. Only at RC Willey.
And it was awful.
Power for the cigarette lighter is giving me a hard time getting this clip out. Just needed a little poke. So I have a feeling this plastic piece is going to be some kind of support bracket for the climate control. So before I rearrange the cup holders, here's the two bolts I removed here, and we have the center pin here. And there's two guiding holes here and one there. So that's pretty slick. Look at that, it just snaps into place, and it looks like we'll reinstall those two bolts to hold this mounting bracket in place. And then we'll reposition the cup holders. And then we can remove the 4 bolts to take out the factory stereo. Okay, so this comes out and clip. There it goes.
Can we see what else is on my side?
Wasabi.
All right, so as far as the electrical connectors that came out from that little compartment, one of them was for an LED light. It shined a little blue light down on the stuff. One was definitely like an SD card spot, and you can see there's like a mini USB, and on the new radio there is a spot for that to plug into. So it looks like they're going to retain the controls for that. The other one is the most important one, is the climate control, and that we're actually retaining the climate control module. We're just lowering it down, and they even made a little cutout for that to slip on through, possibly, maybe not. And the other one was for a cigar lighter, which we're going to eliminate. Okay, looking at the factory bezel, we are going to remove the climate control module, which has some very small screws here. And they are Torx head. So hopefully I have a Torx head that small. And then the new radio included new Phillips head screws. Even the Chinese know better. We're going to remove all these orange retaining clips from the factory bezel and install it onto the new radio harness, as well as unclipping the climate control vents. Okay, so you need a T9 fitting for these little screws. Okay, so taking the cover off the climate control, you can see there's some more Torx head screws here that need to be removed for this module to come out from the factory bezel. So this module does not want to come out after it's unscrewed, so I am expecting that it's these knobs that need to be taken off before it will pull out the backside. And that does appear to be the case. Seemed like a little up and down movement helped. You can see some of the grip texture on the knob is coming off, unfortunately. Not really any other option. I really do not like doing that, but that is what is necessary. Just keep that intact. Okay, just pushing the knobs itself seem to help for the bottom module. That just came out from something. Wow. Definitely the most involved part of this process. Keep an eye on these guys coming out. Oh, there's more screws. So those two center holes do not exactly line up with those two center holes, but the outer four do. These two tabs go on top of the middle piece. Okay, so I will start with the middle piece. There is some kind of clip. See, there's two top holes and two bottom holes. Yeah, just like so. So I started with the bottom and then rested in the top. Come back to this top piece, because these top two holes align. A little nervous, it doesn't line up. Okay, so our first issue with this control module, this top piece here, there's 4 outer screws and 2 inner screws, and the outer screws do line up with this 3D printed plastic piece, but the top 2 do not at all. So it appears that I'm going to have to break the piece, the factory piece from Jeep, to work with this 3D printed piece for the stereo. Not happy about that, but it does have the majority of the screws holding it in. We're losing 2 out of 6 screws. And it is what it is. Not happy about that, but it's not the end of the world. I'm going to take some linesman pliers, and it's just plastic. That looks pretty clean. It's just the climate control. It's not the end of the world. I'll just start on one, and now it definitely appears that there's clearance. So I'm going to go ahead and make the executive decision. Do it on the other side. Okay. And now our outer 4 screws do line up. That top piece had to go on secondary to the middle piece. Now this bottom piece, fingers crossed, does line up with the new 3D printed part. Interesting enough, this bottom piece overfits the middle piece, where on the factory spot it did not. It had 4 dedicated spots for the bottom 2 mounting spots for the middle piece and the top 2. Now it uses 1 spot. Whatever. As long as it fits, going to screw this back together and see how it looks. Okay, worth mentioning, I tried to use the new silver Phillips screws provided with the kit, and they just go right through the opening of the factory control module mounting locations. The gold Torx screws have kind of a washer attached to the screw that makes it a bit wider so it doesn't go all the way through. I have installed the 4 inner screws as well as all the outer screws, and there are 4 locations left here in the middle. And I'm going to take the motherboard and lay it on here. These rubber pieces have fallen out of here, and if we look at the center knob, there are 2 yellow marks here. That aligns with this rubber piece somehow. I'm going to come back to that. And on the smaller knobs, there's 1 single, I think those are LED lights. And these rubber fittings go over that. That makes sense. It looks like they're LEDs. Okay, when grabbing the motherboard, we have this circular plastic mounting piece. Okay, and there's 4 notches that appear that they need to stagger these 4 LEDs. And on the circular piece, there's 2 notches that need to align with 2 notches on the module. So it seems like there's only one way in and one way out. That might be difficult to see. It's becoming frustrating. So the motherboard is bottoming out on these 2 plastic clips right here. Okay, so basically this is about to get ugly. This 3D printed piece is not exact. The motherboard is resting on these 2 clips, which is designed to fit into these notches here and even down here to keep the board in place. But because this isn't molded properly, I'm not going to scrap this whole project. I'm going to have to snap off the clips where it's rubbing. And what's worse is these are all LED lights that are meant to fit into these holes. I don't know, I think those are even buttons. So when you push the buttons, that stuff activates on the board. I don't know if I should do that. Okay, so not really happy with my choices. But really, these buttons here, sport on and off, and I don't know why I would ever turn off traction control. So if I can't press those and they're not lit up with LEDs, I'm willing to sacrifice that for the night. So I'm peeling these buttons up. Breaking more stuff. So it still might get hung up on these 2, but I'm going to try to install it with just without those 2 plastic pieces. I mean, it just does not want to sit down flush. does up top. Down here, see all these LED lights overextending where they're supposed to land. So I'm guessing the buttons as well, and it does hit there. Okay, now I'm going to install the top circuit board, and you can see these ribbons are folded over a little more than they came out because this whole thing has been compacted a bit more. Okay, I got the mounting bracket for the climate control that snaps into the Jeep. I took it out. I took the motherboard out to see if this aligns with the holes, and it does not. It's frustrating. Without the circuit board, this does align with the rest of the module. Like so. Okay. Looks very awkward, but it does line up, the 4 holes. But the circuit board does not align with this part, and when I put the circuit board back on the module and try to put the mounting back cover on, it doesn't line up. Kind of out of options here. I'll show you. In there. Okay, there we go. Got all of it aligned. I'm not going to bother screwing it in. No. Top holes line up. Bottom holes could line up, but that circuit board rubs big time on that plastic piece. So I don't know, I'm tempted to cut it off. So definitely not happy with what I had to do. I'm going to have to contact the seller on eBay. But it does look like this cover can fit on. But again, it doesn't cover the entire circuit board. At least it protects it from some kind of shortages. But the board just doesn't fit with the buttons that are mounting into their piece. So I'm going to try this, but I know it's not going real far. I might still mount this to the car, and you know, maybe I could, I don't know, Bondo it or something. All right, so piece of cake, right? Let's see how this turned out. I'm gonna back out of the garage so I can show off how the climate control works while the engine is running. But this is actually a couple weeks later. My camera died. We can see when we put it in reverse, it does change the tablet to the rear view camera automatically. And you know, this is the Laredo version of the Jeep, so you do notice the camera isn't an HD camera. It definitely looked a lot better on the factory radio that was in here, but it was such a small screen that, you know, you can't really tell the difference from the resolution of standard definition to high definition. And then when you put it back in park or drive, it goes back to the tablet settings. But yeah, where I ended the video, it was, becoming frustrating. But all I really did, you saw how I split that climate control mounting bracket in half. I took the lower half and inserted it into the dash with those 2 guiding pins and fastened in the 2 little screws, and then took the tablet. So actually then I had to take the vents out of the old bezel, which really wasn't that difficult, but it wasn't easy either, but I got it done in a few minutes. In fact, the whole process I did in a couple hours, and it would have been done probably less than an hour if the 3D printed climate control housing was made properly, and it flat out is not. It's not made properly. I haven't even messed with these lower buttons, but we can see that they are lit up, and I don't anticipate, this is my wife's car, and I don't anticipate her ever messing with any of that anyway, but maybe I'll try it. I don't know. Yeah, so they do not work. Okay, but all the other buttons do work. Let's try some sound, the volume knob. Let's turn the radio on.
This is my station.
So volume works.
97.3.
The tuning knob works. I'm going to turn this off so we don't get copyright. Climate control, the speed, the fan speed works. It's already on. Or no, that's the temperature. Oh, so there's volume on the screen too. I didn't realize that. But temperature works. There we go. That's the fan speed. If you just, this is like an overlay. This launcher on the Android tablet, you can change the launcher. And like in my other car, I use Big Launcher, and it has enormous size apps, and I just have one for Navi, one for video and music or whatever. But this is working so far. If you just press on the climate control overlay once, it gets a bit bigger. I see that there's, I don't know, rear defrost or the front defrost. That seems to all be working to make the air come out the floor. Yeah, so the blend door actuators are functionable through the tablet itself. In settings, let's see, how do I make that go down? Let's see, car settings. This came pre-programmed for the Jeep Grand Cherokee, and I imagine they come pre-programmed for other vehicles as well. But you can dive in here and change it if you want, but it was right when I plugged it in, ready to rock and roll. So I like that. Now I'm in the car settings. You can see it takes over the whole screen for the climate control if you needed that for whatever reason. The factory buttons on the climate control, the back button still is retained. It still works. The screen off button, the volume, I think I said already, or the turning the power off. So I am glad that I was able to retain some of those buttons, because I didn't want to have everything digital. But if I were to do it again, since now I know that those bottom buttons don't work, I would have done the Tesla screen option where there's no hard buttons at all. The entire screen goes down to the bottom. I would have done that now that I know I lost some functions that, again, we will probably never use anyway. So this is my wife's vehicle. Major upgrade. She's very happy. Backup camera works. It feels like a lot newer model vehicle. There's USB in here. We can upload all of our music. We purchase music and we own it, and we're proud of that. We can upload it all to the hard drive of the tablet and play the music that we own. We don't have to use our phone or use data. Navi. So default is Google Maps, and I like the option of having that if I want to hotspot our phone, but I again don't like using data when I don't need to. We have a cell phone plan where we save money if we don't use as much data, so we like that. But if we're somewhere and we want to use it, we can. But in the settings, this was one of the main things that I used, and I was happy to see that there's an option for this. So we go into settings and we scroll all the way down to GPS detection. Oh no, navigation. And one of my favorite apps on Android is Sygic. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, but it's an offline GPS system. You can purchase the app. I think now they've switched to subscription, but I'm grandfathered in or whatever because I made a one-time purchase to own it. And you can download just the maps of where you travel. So we downloaded our state, and it can update, and there's interesting, funny voices. There's Homer Simpson's and Snoop Dogg, and but this lets us choose Sygic to be the default navigation, and it even asks you, do you want it to boot when you start up the car, or do you want it to always ask? We just want it to start up as soon as we turn the car on. Now, what I can't find out, and I don't think it's an option, but maybe there is, maybe with another launcher, I think I saw somebody else post, that the default music player, okay, so this plays all of the music that we have, that we own, it just isn't attractive. It doesn't show the album art. And so I want to, luckily Android, you can use several different music players, but I don't know how to assign a new music player as the default connected to this overlay that comes pre-programmed on this launcher. For example, so yes, we have the Google Play App Store. I have YouTube Music on here, not my favorite music player, but just as an example, a little more attractive to look at. I can't figure out how to assign that to the music button, the quick link at the top. I have to go into apps and choose that, which is fine for now, but it'd be nice to assign that. But another feature of the tablet, it's a little spotty, and maybe again the launcher could fix this, is the split screen mode. So you open up two apps. Let's say we got YouTube Music loaded up, and we choose Navi as well. You have the split screen option that is kind of hit or miss, but again, we have these overlays kind of masking part of our apps. But if we choose kind of like the minimize button for apps, so I can take Sygic and bring that up to top. I think it's still loading. And then YouTube Music. Trying to close the radio and stuff in the back. YouTube Music. Oh, there's navigation on top. So I'm trying to do a split screen so I can have GPS going and a nicer music player to look at. And it's so. You can minimize this overlay up here to show more of the navigation and scroll down to bring it back up. Same with the climate control. So down here on the music player, you can kind of scroll. See, it's just kind of hard to do when you're driving, but I don't know. Let's just choose something. So realistically, I'd probably just toggle between the two apps, full screen music player, and then go back to navigation if I really don't know my way around. So that could be a little better. Oh, when I ended the video, all I did was press in the three knobs, okay? And I was frustrated that the rubber grip around the volume knob just kind of disintegrated when I pulled it off. Let's see. So on Amazon, I don't know if you can see this, just purchased these red volume knobs. It gives it a little character. And they just have double-sided tape on there, and they gave you extra tape if, you know, down the road it loses its grip. But basically, they go over the existing knobs, because that is one thing my wife said annoys her, is touching the volume knob that the grip came off. So I don't know if we can see this. This is the climate control one. Just gonna slide just like so. Yeah, it's not sticking. Well, I might need to use a better adhesive for it. Let's try it on the, I don't know, the volume knob instead. Okay, we'll try the volume knob, red cover. So that actually clicked on. So that's on much better. Let's see how it works. Get radio on here. So volume knob's working. It's getting very hot in here. I'm going to demonstrate those buttons again. We can power off the music. Now, on screen, the CAN bus is working. You can power off the climate control. It's roasting. The factory buttons, turning the climate control back on, that's working. Right? Yep. That knob is not sticking on there so well. What else would people might ask? Again, this is the Laredo version. You might be asking, hey, does this screen control heated seats and heated steering wheel? This vehicle isn't equipped with that, but there was options, so I'm assuming it would if it had those options. What else? This is a new vehicle to me, so there's buttons, volume controls, and track changing on the steering wheel. And that is functioning. So all in all, pretty well done. I do need to contact the seller on eBay, and if they have anything they can offer about the 3D printed piece and can send one made properly, that'd be great. But I have low expectations, and if I have to take this as is, I'm very happy it worked out. It would just be frustrating for somebody who wasn't as capable to do some of the things that I did. I could see it being really frustrating on their part, and they would want to return it. So hopefully that helps somebody out there. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment, and I will pin a comment to the top if the seller does follow through and and send me something different. I'll pin that to the top. So this is Wise Guy. Thanks for watching.